Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me introduce myself. My name is Hama Muhammad Yusuf from student number 16, class 11E. Today, I will tell you about the summary of the adventure of Sherlock Holmes, the Red-Headed League, from these books. The these books This book has written by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle and published by Gramedia. Because this book contains a lot of stories, I will tell the summary of the one story called The Adventure of Sherlock Holmes, the Red-Headed League. The story has 38 pages, and I made that page into 11 paragraphs containing orientation, complication, resolution, and moral value. The case of the Red-Headed League sees Dr. Watson visiting 221B Baker Street to see his old friend Sherlock Holmes. There he finds the detective in consultation with a new client, Jabez Wilson, a London pawnbroker, and Watson is asked to sit in as the pawnbroker tells his tale. 2 months previous, Jabez Wilson has been shown a newspaper advert by Vincent Spaulding, Wilson's shop assistant. The advert offered the opportunity for well-paid work as long as they met the criteria. The criteria being that they must be over 21 and have red hair. Wilson has a superb head of red hair. Money was tight at the pawnbroker, and so Wilson was easily convinced to apply for the job. On his arrival at the interview for the job, it seemed that every red-headed man in London had descended to on the office where the interview were being held. Wilson Thorpe was the only one who was successful, and Duncan Rose, the interviewing manager, described him as the perfect candidate. It seemed that an eccentric American had left a will that had formed the League of Red-Handed Men, and people for the princely sums of £4 a week. All that Wilson would be required to do for the money was to copy out section of the Encyclopedia Britannica. By accepting the job, Wilson was committing himself to the absence from his own business for 4 hours each afternoon. But as Wilson explained, the afternoons were quieter than the evenings for his business, and Spaulding would be able to cope. Wilson had enjoyed the new work, and for 2 months he had turned up for employment at the office of the League of Red-Headed Men. One day, Wilson turned up for work to find that a notice was posted on the office door, stating the Red-Headed League is dissolved. Finding no trace of Duncan Ross or of the League, Wilson was now asking Holmes to look into it. Holmes is taken with the absurdity of the case and so accepts Wilson as a client. Holmes has only a few questions for Wilson, most of which revolve around his assistant, Vincent Spaulding. Spaulding has only been working for Wilson for 3 months and has been working for half the normal wage. Another interesting fact about Spaulding is that in his spare time, he is to be found in the pawnbroker basement, messing around with the photographer equipment. Once, Wilson departs Baker Street, Holmes sits and ponders the problems before inviting Watson to accompany him to the concert. On the way to the concert, Holmes and Watson pass by Wilson's pawnbroker's shops, and Holmes pops in ostensibly to ask for direction, but in reality, so that he can get a look at Spaulding outside of the shop. Holmes takes time to tap away at the ground. Holmes has now gathered all of the threads he needs to solve the case. A few hours later, Holmes and Watson find themselves sitting in the dark in a bank vault. Alongside them are Inspectors Jones and Mr. Merriweather, a director of the city and suburban bank. The vault itself is full of French gold. Only a short period of time elapsed before the sounds of tunneling reaches the ears of the man hidden in the bank vault. Then suddenly, a hole appears in the wall of the vault. Through the hole comes Vincent Spaulding, Wilson's assistant, but who is in reality a notorious criminal by the name of John Clay. Clay is arrested as his accomplice, the man known as Duncan Ross, but is actually another criminal called Archie. Holmes then explains the case in full to Watson. Watson is at a loss despite having all of the same evidence as Holmes. The red-headed leak to Holmes was an obvious ruse meant to answer Wilson's absence from his business. The signs of dirt on the knees of Spaulding were also obvious signs that tunneling had occurred, and the fact that the shop was opposite a bank indicated that a robbery was intended. Lastly, the fact that the red-headed leak had been worn up also meant that the robbery was imminent. So that's my summary about the adventure of Sherlock Holmes, the red-headed leak.
Satu.
So this is the moral lessons from this story. Number 1, appearance can be deceptive. The story highlights how seemingly innocent or bizarre situations can have deeper, more sinister motives. Number 2, the value of diligence and observations. Holmes' success is a result of his merely calls attention to detail and his ability to connect seemingly unrelated pieces of information. Number 3, cleverness can be outwitted. Despite the criminal's clever plan, their schemes is ultimately foiled by Holmes' superior intellect and strategic planning. Number 4, and lastly, trust in expertise. Wilson's decision to seek out Holmes helped demonstrate the importance of consulting experts when faced with perplexing problems.
Satu.
So that's all from me. Thank you for listening. See you next time. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.